So, Jeff, I have two observations.
Okay.
The first one is...
Only two?
Yeah, two.
Okay.
Number one is I think my attitude most of the time is A+.
Really?
And I think that yours is sort of a B attitude.
A B attitude? Yeah. Well, that's what we're talking about today. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Wow.
I just made that up, actually.
And this isn't even a corny dad joke.
No, it's not.
So, hey,
It's
he's
not.
Chris and I'm Jeff, and we're the Bible guys.
All right.
Well, we should tell our listeners it's not going to get any better than that today.
No, that's not.
That's about it.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's the peak.
You peaked.
Yep.
Okay.
So what is today?
Dude, so today
geez.
is one of my favorites, and that is it's Finish the Lyrics, where I have to read some lines to songs.
Yeah, I'm dreading this moment.
Yeah.
Number one, because you could already tell, we've talked about it all morning, my throat, I'm losing my voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. Second thing is I'm not good at lyrics.
Well, you're pretty good at lyrics. You're better at lyrics than I am.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm going to read 5 lines, and I'm going to see
this.
if you can finish each of these, okay?
This is going to go horribly.
There's no load I can't hold, a road so rough, this I know.
Oh, geez, I know this. Here's the reason why I know this, because if you ask my family, what is your favorite Disney Pixar film? It's Cars.
Oh, there you go.
And this is the theme song by Rascal Flatts.
Oh, there you go.
Can you read that for me?
There's no load I can't hold, a road so rough, this I know.
There's because I can't. Okay, there's no road I can't hold. What is it? There's no road.
A road so rough, this I know.
There's no road. This I know. I'll be there when the.
Yep.
I'll be there when the something.
When the light comes in.
Light comes in. Tell them all we're survivors.
Just tell them we're survivors.
Hey,
yeah.
I got something.
You got there. You found it.
Something.
You found it, man.
I got something.
Now you know this one. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard.
Oh, this is really easy.
Strangers.
Yeah. Up and down the boulevard, the shadows searching in the night. Is that it?
There you go.
Okay, good.
So, hey, you're 2 for 2.
All right. Well, no, not really.
You hit a lot of anxiety.
I got 50% of the first one.
This is a funny one. I know that I can't take no more. It ain't no lie.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. So she chose good ones. I know that I can't take no more. It ain't no lie. I something out that door, baby. Bye.
I want to see you.
Bye.
There you go.
What is it? I want
to see you out that door.
Yeah. See, I'm not good at lyrics.
Baby, bye.
I'm not good at it.
Yeah, you're really good. I wouldn't even gotten close. It's the circle of life, and it moves us all.
The Circle of Life,
And
which,
it
by the
moves
way,
us all.
is from Lion King. John
There you
Elton, right? Or Elton John?
Elton John.
I can't believe I just said John Elton.
Yeah, whatever.
I hate that song.
Really?
I don't know the song. I couldn't even guess the song.
Really?
What are the lyrics?
You hate that song?
I do. It was irritating.
What kind of monster are you? hey, listeners.
Of life.
Listeners, just write in all the hate mail you want to send and send it to CesarBa@thebibleguys.com.
Yeah, it's this. It fits in the movie. You know, like
so. Then quit whining about it.
But as a song,
think of all the other songs
as a song to listen to. No.
Yeah, okay.
What's the lyrics?
It's the circle of life, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place.
If you would have given me a million guesses and put a gun to my head, I would have gotten them all wrong and been dead.
There you go. Okay. Here's the last one.
Yes.
All right. This is it. So you're 3 for 4 up to this point.
Not really, but okay.
Every night in my dreams, I see you.
Oh, that's Titanic, right? My heart will go on, right? Okay, so what is it?
Every night in my dreams, I see you.
Oh, this is the beginning of the song. Every night in my dreams, I see you. I feel you. That is how I know you. Go on.
There you go.
Near, far. Right? Yeah, there you go. I got it.
So you were 4 for 5 today.
No, I was not.
Sure you were. You
got
needed just
half
a
of
little bit of
3
help
of
on the
them.
Rascal Flatts one. That's all.
Oh,
Good
geez.
job, buddy. See, that's why she does it.
No,
right there.
I don't like that segment. I feel pressure.
Well, it's good for you to feel pressure every once in a
Yeah,
while.
that's true.
Yep. Just remind you, you're not all that. Okay.
Not all that. What are you from the? What are you from the 90s? You're not all that.
No, I'm from the 80s. So yeah.
That's true.
Okay. I'm just trying to be hip like all those young.
Ooh, just stop.
Okay. There you
Stop while you're behind.
Okay. So the Beatitudes. This is Jesus' longest message. So it's not just the Beatitudes, but it comes from what's called the Sermon on the Mount. And so we're going to break the Sermon on the Mount up into segments over the next several episodes. And the beginning is what we call the Beatitudes. We'll talk about it. This idea, or the Sermon on the Mount, comes up in two different passages. Matthew chapter 5 is maybe the more famous one. And then also in Luke chapter 6 are where the two parallels come in. So it says, one day, as he saw the crowds gathering, Jesus went up on the mountainside and sat down. His disciples gathered around him, and he began to teach them. God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God blesses those who are humble, for they will inherit the whole earth. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied. God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember the ancient prophets who were persecuted in the same way. So that's Matthew chapter 5 in the Sermon on the Mount. Then in Luke chapter 6, same thing. It says, then Jesus turned to his disciples and said, God blesses you who are poor, for the kingdom of God is yours. God blesses you who are hungry now, for you will be satisfied. God blesses you who weep now, for in due time you will laugh. What blessings await you when people hate you and exclude you and mock you and curse you as evil because you follow the Son of Man? When that happens, be happy. Yes, leap for joy, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember their ancestors treated the ancient prophets that same way. What sorrow awaits you who are rich, for you have your own happiness now. What sorrow awaits you who are fat and prosperous now, for a time of awful hunger awaits you. What sorrow awaits you who laugh now, for your laughing will turn to mourning and sorrow. What sorrow awaits you who are praised by the crowds, for their ancestors also praised false prophets.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So similar, but a little different between those two
yeah,
passages.
A little bit different. Yeah. So this is what Wiersbe was famous, right? With wasn't
the Beatitudes?
Warren Wiersbe famous for writing those little B
books?
Yeah, what is it called? The B series.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so are those these?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking. Oh, these are blessed are the. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Yeah. These are the blessed are.
Yeah. You're like, why are you bringing that passage up?
I don't know.
We'll eventually get to that passage, Chris.
Well, so he has a whole series of all the different character traits.
Be wise, be kind.
That's right.
All those.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Okay. So so here's the thing. This to me sounds like delayed gratification.
The whole thing?
Well, I mean, think about it. He says, "Blessed are those who are poor, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Blessed are those who mourn, for one day they'll be comforted." Right? Mm-hmm. The humble will one day inherit the earth. Yeah. The hunger and thirsty, they will be satisfied one day. They will be shown mercy, implying in the future. Yeah. Right. And I think that it's interesting because what he's doing, number one, to me, it seems like he is, the awareness is he's talking about the greatness of those. It reminds me of the comment that he made about John the Baptist. Remember? He said, there's none greater than John the Baptist, who basically doesn't own a thing. He hangs out in the wilderness and he basically has nothing. And there's no human being greater. It feels to me like he's really just elevating and recognizing the greatness of those who serve God and yet are poor, hungry, humble, and these kind of things.
Yeah. I think that, so the Greek word there for blessed, right? So this says God blesses those who are humble. the sentence in the Greek just blessed are those, right? Is so it's an understood God. But the word blessed that is used indicates happiness, which is a weird one because most of the Bible talks about joy, right? So God invites us beyond just happiness, but it's not unreasonable to say, hey, I want to be happy.
Right.
And so we did a whole message series one time back 100 years ago, just called "I Just Want to Be Happy," and it was an 8-week series. We went through the Beatitudes, and it was one of the best series, one of the best responded to series.
Did you bring Warren Wiersbe in it?
No. He didn't have anything to do with this message. So. Warren said, "Jeff, you're doing a good job."
Yeah. Oh wow.
You got this.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but the idea is Jesus is really going almost completely antithetical to the way the world thinks. So the world thinks, man, you're going to be happy when you're the top of the heap and everybody's looking at you and you're famous. And Jesus said, actually, you'll be happiest when you're humble.
Yeah.
You think you're going to be happiest when you are fabulously wealthy. And Jesus says, actually, you're going to be happier when you're poor. And he's not talking just they're poor physically. He also is poor in spirit. Right. So a lot of people think you'll be happy when you finally have all the answers to the universe. And Jesus is like, no, you'll be happiest when you're poor in spirit and realize your need for God. Right. And so he changes all of the way that humans think we would be happy. But hey, let me say this. If the world knew the way to happiness, shouldn't everybody be happy? If the world knew, because everybody is going the world's way. Everybody's trying sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Everybody's trying to climb the ladder. Everybody's trying to get more. And hardly anybody I know says that they're truly happy, right? And so what Jesus is trying to do is he's trying to back them off of the world system and come the other way. But then he says, these 8 things, are all indicators of what one of my disciples is really going to look like. If you want to know what a disciple of mine looks like, it's a person who's poor in spirit. It's a person who's humble. It's a person who hungers and thirsts for justice. It's a person who's merciful. It's a person who chooses a pure heart, right? That's what my disciples are going to look like. And then he says, so don't be surprised when people hate you. They'll persecute because you're so different from the rest of the world. They're going to hate you for it. And by the way, there's a great reward in heaven for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a very good selling point. I would say that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember
the great reward in heaven is.
I remember the very first time that I went on any mission trip whatsoever. It's hard to believe, but it took me years to go on my first trip. But my first trip was to Africa. Excuse me. And when I went to Africa, we just went out in the middle of the bush. I mean, it was just. We landed and we drove like 11 hours north of Kapenguria, and we were out in the middle of the. It seemed like just a wasteland of just shrubs everywhere, and all of a sudden you walk another 2 miles in the 120-degree heat, and then all of a sudden you come upon this village. And according to Julius, our guide, he said that he's pretty sure that there are some people in this village who had never seen a white person before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, what? How does that even exist in the world today?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But that's what he said. So we get there, and first of all, the first thing I realized is I had one of these things. I had my
water bottle
of water.
Yeah.
And they don't have clean water over there.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
And so they have the dirty, nasty, mucky water that they all drink. And so when I was holding this, the first thing the kids did is they walked up, and I thought they were fascinated with me, and they just wanted my water. Yeah. And so I felt super bad. And of course, I gave them my water, right? And it was just like a treasure. The second thing I noticed
they probably wanted your water bottle.
Yeah, well, everything. They just wanted it, right? And then the second thing I noticed was that their possessions were a rock and a stick, literally.
The kids' toys?
The kids' toys.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you own? I own this rock and this stick, right? And that was theirs, and that's all they had. And they were happy as crickets, right? I mean, they had so much joy. Yeah. They were running around, and I thought to myself, how could somebody live in these conditions and have the definition of nothing? I mean, it's like, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
when you don't know that there's more,
right?
You tend to be happier. You know, this is at the original sin. The original sin was they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
There's a lot of happiness and joy in innocence. I think it's one of the reasons why we have to be careful about how quickly we introduce our young children to all of the bad things in the universe. Right. I think right now there's a massive push that adults just need to treat their children like adults and just be honest with them and tell them all the stuff. And I'm just like, I reject that concept. There's a certain amount of joy in being innocent. And I think we should preserve our children's innocence as long as we can.
Yeah.
But that's one of them is, hey, when you don't know that there's kids that your kids have a whole room full of plastic toys,
Right.
right? You're happy with your rock and your stick because you've built your game and
Right.
the other kids have their rocks and sticks too, and it's fun.
Yeah. And by the way, how many, people our age, how many times you've heard somebody say, we grew up really poor, but we didn't know we were poor.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember those phrases?
That's me. Yeah, yeah.
I bet you I heard that phrase 1,000 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
your frustration with life tends to be the fact that you're comparing your life to other people.
right.
Right. So we are, as Americans in general, if you have more than $50,000 in total household benefits, that's not just income, but total household benefits. You're in the top 1% in the history of humanity.
Right.
Right.
Which is hard to believe.
It's unbelievable, but we don't feel rich because we know there are people who are richer than us.
Right.
Right. The fact that I know there's somebody richer than me makes me feel like I'm not that rich.
Right.
Until you meet somebody who's absurdly poor, which is 2/3 of the planet. Right. And so we tend to look down on our certain circumstances because we know there's a few people richer than us. And that's the whole idea of envy. That's the whole idea. It's a whole other thing. So he's not only talking about poverty here.
Right.
Right. He's talking about being poor in spirit.
Right.
Which is far more. It's realizing that I am empty and poor without God. Right.
I'm completely dependent.
That's right.
I don't have it within myself.
Right. I'm impoverished spiritually without God.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So that's a big part of it. And then he 2 different times he says you're going to be blessed. Blessed are those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. And blessed are you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you. So he has 2 blessings for when you're being threatened to be canceled. When you decide you're not going to go along with the party line at work because what they're saying is sinful and wrong to do, and it might cost you your job. Jesus is saying, listen, it might cost you something here on earth, but be glad because there's a great reward for you in heaven, right? So do the right thing. I think sometimes we get tempted to be like Jacob. Remember in Esau?
Yeah.
When Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of porridge.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're willing to sell out and miss out on the great reward in heaven just to keep one more paycheck, right? So we look for gain here and feel like, and we sell away the great blessing that would be in heaven. And Jesus keeps trying to remind them, hey, listen, this is just temporary. So whatever you're going through here is temporary. Your real reward's in heaven.
One of the greatest thoughts that I've ever, it's actually a sermon I heard that I'll never forget. And I never rate sermons 10s, right?
Right.
Like I always give them, never.
Yeah, except mine, but.
No, not yours.
Yeah.
Not mine. not anybody's. For me, for a sermon to be a
Certainly
10.
not yours. Not even mine.
It is sort of how I said it. It's just how I said it.
I certainly never yours.
No,
I don't even rate my own.
I just meant nobody's.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to include myself in the equation, right? But a sermon that gets rated a 10 is a life-changing sermon.
Okay.
For me, never forget it.
Right.
And this one was a 10. I'll never forget it. But anyway, here's the concept. The concept is when we hear about God, we hear God introduce himself as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and it should be the God of Esau.
Right.
Right? But Esau sold away his birthright.
Yep.
Instead, now it's the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, right?
Yeah.
All of that was because Esau gave away his birthright. He gave away his blessings. He gave away his wealth.
Yeah.
Gave away his status. He gave away everything because he was, quote unquote, starving to death. And then Jacob went ahead and said, "I'll make you a trade."
Right.
And so the point is that here is the whole concept behind the sermon, is that when we are tempted to sacrifice our family legacy for an affair.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just the destruction of our legacy with our kids, with our families and everything else, or for politicians to surrender all of their influence and all of their gain and all their good name, and that, by the way, that just goes down in history for anybody who's tempted to do something bad, and the consequences are devastating, and they go well beyond even their lifetime, their lifespan, right?
Right.
So the concept is it's just a bowl of stew.
Yeah.
It's just a bowl of stew.
Supposed to. Yeah, yeah.
That's it, right? So
So in this passage, specifically talking about your reward is in heaven.
Right.
A lot of times we make our decisions based on what we're trying to keep here on earth.
Right.
It's only temporary. That's where that came from. So if you look at the rewards he offers, because a lot of times we look at the struggles, we look at our need for God, mourning, humility, hunger and thirst for justice, a requirement for mercy and purity, working for peace, experiencing persecution. We hear those, and those sound hard, most of them. But the rewards are the kingdom of heaven, comfort, you'll inherit the earth, you'll be satisfied, you'll be shown mercy, you'll see God, you'll be a child of God, and he ends with the kingdom of heaven. Remember how the Middle Eastern mindset, they start and end with the same big idea, right? So what he's saying is he brackets all of these other things with, this is what the kingdom of heaven is like. And he's pushing back against pride and personal independence, happiness at any cost, a pursuit of power, pursuit of just our own personal needs instead of justice, strength without feeling, deception that's acceptable, personal peace pursued without concern for the world's chaos, and weak commitments, right? So he's providing antidotes, but it's almost exactly 180 degrees different than the way that you think, right? And but he's trying to describe, I think, at this moment, in those 8 or 9 things, 8 ideas, I think what he's trying to do is, matter of fact, in the Matthew one, he takes his disciples and he sits them down and says this before he goes and preaches the whole message. And I think he's trying to explain to them, listen, my kingdom is a different kingdom, but man, the rewards are great and it's worth it. And so he doesn't set these out as ideals. He sets these out as expectations. And I think if you read the whole rest of the Sermon on the Mount, which may just be a conglomeration of a bunch of sermons, it may not have just been one big sermon. But if you look at it, Jesus does not set these out as ideals that are, hey, someday look up to them and maybe you could aspire to them. Instead, these are things he expects his disciples to do. They're choices he calls us to. And there's a challenge to that, but the reward in heaven is going to be great.
That's awesome. Well, if I were to give a final thought, I would just say it stands out to me that when he says, happy is he, right? Blessed is he, which translates into happiness. Happy is he, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, lists all these different things. It dawns on me that people are probably less happy today than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Feels like there's more pain in the world than there's ever been, more discord, more division. And it seems like, the happiness seems very elusive. We try to grab it and we can't quite seem to get there. And it's just a reminder that if we go God's way, and that if we listen to God and God who created us and knows us and, knows our soul and knows our deepest longings and says, these are the things I promise you that'll make you happy. And they may seem counterintuitive. They may not be, they may not make sense, and they may go against your desire or what you've been taught or how you've been raised or what's been modeled for you. But I promise you, if you pursue these things, this is what's really going to make you happy inside and blessed.
Yeah.
So just go God's way. So, all right. Well, that's all the time we have, and we will see you next time on The Bible Guys.